Good day, this is Timmo Warner, continuing my walk across the state of San Andreas. It's now nighttime. You can see the city behind me. It looks a little cooler at night than it does in the day, no matter what part of the city you're in. And I'm going to take a little bit of a detour. I noticed on the map as I was getting ready, and once again forgot to mark my north marker despite swearing I would just a few minutes ago. But you're talking to me. I noticed on the map somewhere I would like to go, and it's just over the hill this way, so I'm just going to take a little detour to the right before I start heading north again. Excuse me, ma'am. Oh, and I did want to keep these slightly further away. I think at this angle you get a better sense of how I'm actually walking than when it's closer in just the shoulder part. I'm not going to go on in great length with the question today, because I actually want to leave it with you. I got a question from Zekidin asking me about Canadian stereotypes and their veracity. So, after watching this video the last few episodes, you tell me, have I displayed any Canadian stereotypes? And if so, what are they? The only one I can consciously think of is I have been apologizing to a lot of NPCs as I walk by them, just because they tend to be in the way more than my encounters with real people out in the world. So I don't think I apologize so much out in the real world as I have to the NPCs in the game here. As for my accent, I do not believe I have a particularly strong Canadian accent. The accent I would associate with what is stereotypically Canadian is a probably an Ontario accent. And I have not lived in Ontario for a very long time. And even then, only I would think maybe the suburbs in Ontario would have that sort of accent. I have encountered a few natural Canadians who speak like that, but and this is what I was talking about earlier. I don't know how easy hills are going to be while walking. I have encountered a few Canadians who have had that stereotypical accent, but more usually it's somebody just imitating it. I don't know what other Canadian stereotypes there are besides the apologizing and the accent. I do enjoy watching hockey, but I don't really care who wins. I don't follow it. I just enjoy a live hockey game. Sometimes I'll watch it on TV if it's on. It's a pretty good sport on TV. Okay, there is the Vinewood sign. I think where I want to go is over this hill. It is a fun sport on TV. I enjoy it more so than baseball, which has got to be the most boring sport ever put on television, where at least 2/3 of the time people fail when they're trying for a play, and there's just so much inaction all the time. Excuse me. I just muted for a second to cough. Here is where I wanted to go. This is, I don't know the name of it, but it is a music stadium, or other stadium, I guess, any kind of performance. I was a little disappointed going through the... Whoa! Does that count as a run? I'll retrace it. Whoa, I fell again. Okay, good enough. I've wasted enough time that this still counts towards my walk. I was a little disappointed in the main game that there was no mission that wound up with this area filled with people and some sort of concert going on the main stage. When I saw that it existed, I just kind of assumed that would happen at one point. But you pretty much just always see it empty except for a few maintenance workers now and then, which I think is a big lost opportunity. And as far as I know, there's not even any multiplayer missions that take place here, such as enclosed last man standing or anything like that. It just seems like it's an interesting space that's pretty much largely ignored through the entire game. And it's kind of interesting to come see how they've set it up. I assume it is similar to an actual stadium in California. If it is, I don't know what the name of that stadium would be. But yeah, I'm very disappointed that this space exists and nothing is really done with it. So let's make my northern marker again. I have been heading north, just not completely as straight as I could have been. And let's get back to it. Oh yeah, I wasn't off north at all, really. Not else a lot going on. I had something else I wanted to speak about besides the Canadian Stereotypes. You do see a lot of maple syrup when you go to the touristy parts of Canada, but that's more for the tourists to buy and take home to show that they've been to Canada. Whenever I travel somewhere, I try and take maple sugar candy with me to give out to people as a Canadian souvenir, and plus that it's actually quite good, so I enjoy doing that. I don't think I'm going to be able to walk up that way. So let's see, maple syrup, hockey, being polite, and the Canadian accent. So I don't think I particularly embody any of those. I do think Canadians are generally more polite than I would say Americans, but not because Americans are rude, just because I found they will more loudly state what they are there for, or what they're looking for when they are out in public, where Canadians will be more reserved. I think it's more of a British tradition that you try and keep yourself out of the limelight when you're out in public, and if you have to disturb somebody, you apologize for it. Something that I do like about Canada, which I was going to mention when I thought a question in an earlier episode was about where would I most like to live, my answer actually is Canada. Because one, we get all the television shows and entertainment straight out of the United States to the south. We get a lot of imports from the United States, or companies that come here to sell their stuff. So we've got a very good food chain system with all the major brands. But on top of that, we also have quite a few British companies, and especially British candies and sweets, which do not seem to make it to the States. They generally stick in Commonwealth countries. See, now this is what I like about Grand Theft Auto 5 is it is very wide open. If you see someplace, you can definitely go there, and there's no real sense of drop off in quality as you look around, except if you notice things popping in the immediate forward direction as you walk along, especially more the faster you go, the more noticeable the pop in is. But it's just a very nice environment. So the only huge improvements I expect coming up would be more three-dimensional grass. I think this is actually just 2D grass, which when you look at from the right angles, you see the full flower. And the ground, while it's got the tricks done to make it look nice and textured, you're actually just walking over a flat surface. It'd be great if we got enough memory and processing power to actually have the curvature and these grassy areas and the dirt and the rocks all truly three-dimensional objects. That would affect the way your characters walk more. I thought I would be taking roads more, but looks like I'm going to head overland, and I think it's somewhere behind me now is the Vinewood sign, which is a parody of the Hollywood sign, obviously. So if you were interested in the topic of Canadian stereotypes, let me know in the comments if I've fulfilled any of them or if I've forgotten any which seem obvious to you, but I just didn't think of while I've been making my trek here. Oh, there's the Vinewood sign. I haven't reached it at all, so it's a shame it's not nighttime, so it's not completely north, but maybe I'll walk towards the Vinewood sign and then turn more northerly once I reach it. Got about 2 minutes left in this episode, and look at that wind. You can hear the wind going, the trees and the grass are swaying. You've got the focus depth where background and foreground aren't necessarily in focus when your character is. Just a lot of really nice touches that have come around in this iteration of video games. So I would like more games like this with wide open exploration and such, but they don't necessarily all have to be crime related or even fighting related. And I would love a Grand Theft Auto type fantasy game, even though that would probably be fighting related, similar to what they did for Red Dead Redemption, which is basically Grand Theft Auto back in the Old West in America. I would love to see something similar in a fantasy setting with the wide open world. See what Rockstar could do with that compared to Bethesda. Or maybe they're not doing it because that's pretty much Bethesda's thing and they figure they'll do their own thing with Grand Theft Auto or go into other areas such as Red Dead Redemption. But given the choice between the two, I like don't run me over, please. I like the Rockstar version of the sandbox games compared to Bethesda. And then there's also the Saints Row games, which are just a bit too crazy for me. I can't really get into them. I like the parody of the real world that you get in Grand Theft Auto 5, where it's more realistic, but there's also some satire to it. Saints Row is just too crazy for me. And as it's been going along, Grand Theft Auto's been ditching the parody a little more with each game and having a little more realistic. So I like the direction it's going with that. I wanted to keep the satire, but I don't mind the more realistic take they're going with things as the world gets more realistic as well. Oh, this is an interesting looking place. Maybe I could have walked up that road there, but I'm going to hit the Vinewood sign next episode, then head more directly north, and I'll continue my trek from there. So, very nice view around, city in the distance. Another thing I like is in the modern games, you don't necessarily have to blame that haze on the draw distance, because it can actually be haze or fog. I've seen in the city sometimes where I thought it was the draw distance and then it cleared up, but I said, oh, that was actually purposeful fog. So it's a nice change compared to the original game, Turok Dinosaur Hunter, which really impressed me as being a 3D game, but the fog and draw distance were absolutely terrible. So, until next time, this is Timmo Warner. If you're enjoying my series, please give me a like. I'll get to the questions and topics I've been given already in the future, but please feel free to leave me more. So, until next time, have a good day.